Hello guys, welcome to this video, and this video is about the last cosmonauts conspiracy. Before getting into the video, let me say what a cosmonaut is. An astronaut of Soviet or Russian space program. Yes, it is simple as that. So let me tell you the difference. Astronaut comes from the Greek word astron meaning star and naut is sailor. So making it as astronaut a star sailor. Whereas cosmonaut comes from the Greek word cosmos meaning universe and naut meaning sailor, making that cosmonaut as a universe sailor. So this is where US and Soviet had their rivalry sorted. If US keep their name as astronaut meaning star sailor, Soviets wanted to go a little bit further and kept their name as universe sailor. So that is for the intro, and let's go into the video. The creation of NASA and the space programs of Soviet itself is a mystery. So we are not going to dive into that part of the mystery. Instead, let me take you back to the 1950s and early 1960s, where the Cold War between the Russians and the US were at peak. During this point of time, everything was a competition between US and the Russians, including who is going to send the first humans to the moon or into the space. Everyone knows that the first human on space was Yuri Gagarin, who was a cosmonaut, a Russian astronaut indeed, sent to space in the mission on 1961. And however, the mystery begins here. Some conspiracy theorists speculate that the Soviets have reached the cosmos on an earlier mission but covered it up because they have lost the cosmonauts. Yes, the period between 1955 to 1972 came to be known as the space race, as both Soviet and US were pushing their scientific resources to the limit as they tried to determine whether communism or democracy was better equipped for blasting people into the orbit. In fact, for a while it looked like the answer might actually be communism, because in 1957 the Soviets launched their first satellite into the orbit, and in 1961 Yuri became the first man in space. But the apparent success of Soviet program was hiding few dark secrets. During the Cold War, Russia and the Allies weren't exactly friends for about 50 years. Both the sides tried to hide their failures from each other, creating a climate where you couldn't be sure what is real and what was a propaganda. So when a Czechoslovakian agent leaked the information about a failed Russian spaceflight in December 1959, no one knew what to make of it. According to the story, Yuri's successful 1961 trip into the orbit was only one in a long line of Soviet space attempts. Or let me say, merely the first one that didn't end up with the pilot's gruesome death. Yes, Yuri wasn't the first person that the Soviets have sent into the orbit, and wrongly, there may be even evidence supporting this theory. In February 1961, 2 months before Yuri's flight, a listening station in Italy apparently recorded two Russian voices broadcasting the words, "Everything is satisfactory, we are orbiting the Earth from space." A few days later, they picked up another garbled transmission that sounded a whole lot like a scream of terror, followed by an empty silence. Two later recordings were also made, including one of three sobbing people saying, I quote, "Conditions are getting worse. Why don't you answer? We are getting slower. The world will never know about us." So what were they? Clever fakes? Evidence that Russia abandoned? Or it is the Russia just giving their cosmonauts to end according to their horrifying fate? We may never know. But in description you will find the entire audio of the said transmission. Though official news agencies TASS released no information on this particular mission, they did report the explosive re-entry of a large space vehicle. This theory also accounts from Giudice Brothers, a pair of amateur radio operators based on the abandoned bunker outside Turin, Italy, who claim to have repeatedly listened to the communication and data exchange between several Vostok craft and the Soviet mission control. And forgot to say, Vostok was the first spaceflight program used by Russia to send humans to space. The brothers reportedly recorded and translated the unnamed cosmonauts' desperate final words with the mission staffs on Earth, which later offered a transcript of what happened in those fatal minutes before the capsule burst into the flames in the upper atmosphere. Another shocking revelation from this alleged recording is that the cosmonaut voice is clearly female, which, if this is factual, reveals the fate of the first woman into the space. Also, I would like to give you some of the excerpts from the translated transcript. Most of those words were listen, come and talk to me, it's getting hot here, 45, 50, 32, I can see a flame, it's hot in here, I'll re-enter, it's going to crash, and I'm going to crash. If this theory is real and scientifically based on the facts speaking, which it might be, what you heard were the last few words of a very brave woman. Let me know what you think of the video and please do check out the attached audio. Cheers.